When I was 13, I made the worst decision of my life. It traumatized me so much. I'm now 19 and I regret it every day. I decided to move away from my family to a completely different city 2 hours away and live in an apartment with two girls I barely knew, one of them I had never met, to pursue gymnastics more seriously. The way this worked is Monday through Friday, we had gymnastics and we would do like school upstairs online. And then every night a different parent would come stay with us in our 1-bedroom apartment. And then at the end of the week on Friday, we would all go back home and then drive back up to the apartment Sunday night. So I would see my mom like once or twice a week, and then some of Friday, all of Saturday, and some of Sunday. Why she let me do this, I have no idea. Also, all three of us were about the same age and I was in 8th grade. The only good thing that came out of this is I met one of my best friends who was the girl I didn't know. The gym environment ended up being absolutely traumatizing and we were all being abused. Things went south pretty quick. We were all crying multiple times a day. We would cry before practice, we would cry at night anticipating practice, we'd cry after practice, and our parents were like, you made this decision, like you gotta stick to it, but I don't think they knew how bad it was. We all started to experience panic attacks and we just wanted to be home. I absolutely hated like every second there, and I'm pretty sure they did too. I have so many stories of just whack, horrible things that happened there. But like I said, there was one good thing that came out of it, and that was meeting my best friend, and she was the girl that I didn't know when I first moved in. We became inseparable like super quick. We did everything together, and when we weren't at practice or worrying about practice, we were like laughing. The whole time we were supposed to be doing school, we would be laughing. Like, I never laughed harder than I did with that girl. We would have movie nights like all the time, and since we were all staying in the same bedroom, we ended up making a fort underneath our beds because they were all touching, and we'd watch movies under there. My best friend ended up bringing her cat, and we also had a hamster. That hamster is a story for a different time, but we had so much fun having like the cat there. We were definitely all trauma bonded because we went through so much together. I still talk to the girl I was best friends with. I actually FaceTimed her the other night, and she's my best friend I've ever had in my entire life. I wish I could have met my bestie in a different way because the damage was so not worth it. This entire thing lasted over a year, so let me know if you want more stories from this time in my life because I have so many.
Story time on how I lost half a finger. Okay, for those of you that don't know, I actually have 9.5 fingers. This happened in 2015, so I was around 7 years old. But my mum and I were gardening, and we didn't have a lawnmower at the time, so we used these like gardening shears. She was using them, and I was like pulling out the weeds like close to her, and then snip. Guys, no hate towards her. Like, I don't blame her at all in this situation. It was an accident. Like, accidents happen. Like, at first I was confused on what happened because I didn't feel anything. Like, I felt no pain. I don't know if it's because it happened too fast or like, but she was like, oh my god, I just cut off a finger, and I was like, oh. Like, I remember thinking, don't look down or you're gonna traumatize yourself for the rest of your life. I didn't even know what it meant to be traumatized, but somehow I knew that I was like, that I should like think about my future self and not look down. Anyway, she had to like go around the grass and look for the severed bit of finger. I think she wrapped it in a tissue, and then we ran my like finger like under the tap, and then we drove to the nearest clinic and they cleaned it up and like bandaged it and everything, and then we went home. The next day I had to wake up at like 5 a.m. in the morning or something because I had to have an operation and I couldn't eat within like some time before the operation, so we had to have it really early. Later that day I just went and got my operation. I had a hospital room and like I had a little TV and it was cool. This is the part that's really weird because this guy came in and was like, can I take some photos of your finger for a TV show? And I was like, oh. And then this was like a couple months after. I was watching Operation Ouch and I swear I saw myself, but I can't find any clips of this. You know how at the end of every episode they go, oh, in the next episode we have, and I saw like this much of my face, like from here, and I saw my earrings, and it was like a cut off finger, and I was like, bro, is that literally me? And then I turned the TV off because I got scared. But I never saw the episode, but I swear on my life it was me. I only found this out a few months ago. It turns out they only chopped it from here, but then they're like, okay, let's just make it clean and cut off the rest as well, and I was like, oh. And then I had a flight to catch the next day, so I can still feel everything. It's just like slightly muted. And I swear, sometimes it just randomly starts hurting. And blood circulation is like really bad during winter. Like, yeah, the only downsides are I can't play guitar or piano properly, but like, I'll manage. And no, I do not get 10% off at the nail salon.
Most embarrassing story, I'll go first, inspired by Katie. So when I was 14, the guy that I was talking to at the time, he asked me to hang out. And I was like, duh, I'm gonna hang out. But he wanted me to sneak out. It was like 12 a.m. And the only time we would ever hang out was when he wanted to hang out. So I jumped at the chance to hang out with him. So I was like, this will be easy. My parents are already asleep. So I sneak out successfully. Him, not only just him, but him and his friends picked me up. So I'm hanging out with him and his friends. Don't even get to hang out with him alone. I was like, whatever. So we're driving around and they're like, oh my god, I have a great idea. Let's go rip up this person's driveway that we don't like. And I was like, I didn't know who this person was, so I was like, okay, like, I'm 14, what am I gonna do? What the fuck am I gonna do? And what I mean by ripping up their driveway is, like, it's dirt, so they're just trying to mess it all up. We get to their driveway, and they're, like, ripping it up, and obviously they call the cops, because, like, who wants their driveway ripped up at freaking 1 or 2 in the morning? So they leave, they're like, haha, that was so funny. And all of a sudden, we see this car with LED headlights speeding up super fast, like, far away, trying to catch up to us, and I was like, oh my god, it's the cops, we're done. It is the cops. They pull us over, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm dead. My parents don't know I'm freaking gone. So we had too many people in the car, and since I'm the youngest, he was like, oh, you gotta come with me into the police car. We're gonna take you to the station for your parents to pick you up. And I was like, I'm gonna end my life. I'm dead. So we're on the way, and obviously he called my parents, and my dad was livid. My dad is so scary when he's mad. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. I'm never gonna come back from this. Also, while we're on the way, I'm like freaking out. I'm like on my phone deleting anything possibly bad, because I know that my dad was gonna take my phone as soon as he got me. So we get to the police station. My dad's standing there waiting, like the most amount I've ever seen him in my life. He points to the board with all the missing kids, and he's like, this could have been you. And I was like, I'm sorry. I know, I'm sorry. He was grounded for I don't know how long, but if you're gonna sneak out, just be better about it. Or don't sneak out, because I got caught every single time I snuck out, and I only snuck out like 3 times in my life, so. And mind you, that was the first time I'd ever snuck out, and I got caught. So.
Get ready with me to tell you how my boyfriend found out I was lying about my age. Okay, before I start, I do not condone this. This is just something that happened to work out for me. And just some disclaimers. This relationship was based online. Like, obviously we're still together and like we see each other, but this was built online. Not to mention, I was 12 years old. That seems very young. Like, I'm aware of that. But like my entire life growing up, I had always been very physically and like mentally mature, at least compared to the people my age. So when I met Caden, he was 15. And honestly, my main thought process was, I don't know this kid. He lives in Canada. I'm never gonna see him. This isn't going anywhere, so it doesn't matter. Like, also, I thought he was really cute, and if I told him I was 12, I knew for a fact he would stop talking to me. So I kind of figured, like, what's the big deal? So during one of our little getting to know each other conversations, I told him I was 15 too. And based on how I looked and spoke, I knew he wouldn't question it. Like, when I was 12, people were mistaking me for 18, 21 sometimes. So I was like, I got this. So anyway, we started dating August 20th, 2014. Everything is going great, okay? We're texting all day, we're Skyping all the time. My birthday eventually comes around on November 6th. I wake up to this long, like, happy 16th birthday, I hope you have the best day, just this long, cute message. Meanwhile, it's been 3 months. Like, I forgot that he thought I was 15. So on my birthday, he thought I was turning 16. Now, the right thing to do in this situation is to come clean right then and there. Did I do that? No. My thinking was, it's my birthday. Like, if I tell him, he'll probably get really mad and I won't have a boyfriend anymore. And I'm just not getting broken up with on my birthday. That's just not happening. So I thought, no way am I ruining my day. I'll tell him in a few days, next week, something, but I'll tell him. So I went along with it. I was like, thank you. Oh my god. I go to school, everything's normal. So that night, we're on Skype. Then, like, out of nowhere, he's like, hey, why did your mom post on your wall happy 13th birthday? First of all, why are you searching me on Facebook? But I play it cool. I'm like, oh, obviously it's a typo. Like, she didn't mean to put that. He was like, yeah, but like everyone is saying happy 13th birthday. I was like, yeah, well. So I was definitely busted, and I was super scared that he was going to get mad because Like, I really liked him. All he ended up saying was like, you know, you do not look 13, which I knew. But I'm 21. He's turning 24 next month. It's been 8.5 years, and we're very happy.
Get ready with me while I tell you about my toxic friend that I cut off after 21 years. Alright, so my friend, let's call her Olivia. Thank you, One Direction. I've known her since kindergarten, and everything was fine until we got to high school. She started to get a reputation of being the boy stalker of the entire school. She would somehow find guys' numbers and she would message them, never getting the hint that they weren't interested, and people just weren't too keen on her because they were afraid of her. When it came to boys, there was no boundaries. She actually messaged my sister's boyfriend after she went with me to visit my grandpa while he was in hospice. My sister's boyfriend was with her. She met him for probably 1 second, didn't even say anything, messaged him on Facebook that night and basically said, "Hi, I'm Olivia, we met at the hospital." Girl, why are you sliding into his DMs right now? Not only that, but there was actually a guy that I was talking to. Guess whose DMs that she slid in? He ended up sending me the text messages of proof saying, like, is this your friend? She was hitting on the guy that I was talking to. This is supposed to be my best friend, mind you. We got in a fight. Things were fine. I always end up taking her back because I'm too much of an empath, and I was just like, okay, you made a mistake. She didn't, though, because we ended up going to college together, and this is where things get really bad. There were these two guys. I thought one was cute. She thought the other one was cute. Her guy was also really interesting. He would keep girls' underwear and put them on his fan in his room. So that's the kind of guy that she was going after. I don't even think I ever spoke to my guy. I just thought he was, like, cute. But this is where it gets bad. So we were in, like, the common room one day, and her guy is passing, and me and her are playing pool. He comes in, and he's trying to be, like, all flirtatious and says, like, oh, like, can I play pool with you guys? She walks away. She goes to sit down on the couch, and then she's looking at me, like, angrily, like, and I'm like, what are you doing? This is your moment to shine. The idiotic guy goes, oh, winner gets a kiss. So I'm like, oh my God, Olivia, what are you playing? Like, this was the perfect setup. The guy he didn't even care. He just wanted anybody. So I was like, listen, he's ready to go. Okay, you really want him. Let's do this. She's just staring at me. So I'm like, okay, this is great. I did not entertain his conversation whatsoever. I ended up leaving with her, and I'm like, we're not doing this. As we're leaving, the guy that I think is cute is passing, and he looks in and he just waves. That was it. Nothing else, a wave. She's still mad. So I'm like, what happened here? She ends up sending me a really long paragraph that night about how she's upset that her guy said the kiss thing when I literally was trying to be her wing woman, and then she was mad that the guy I thought was cute waved at me. So this is just the beginning. Get ready for part 2. Welcome to part 2. So this entire book, I shouldn't even call it a paragraph, this book is her describing how she's upset because she thinks I'm pretty. She's describing how she's upset that the guy I think is cute waved at me, and I said, why would that make you upset? Like, you should be happy for me because that's the only interaction I've had with this man. She did not care. I can understand feeling like insecure, but I didn't do anything wrong. But she was directing her anger at me. So that was that. Let's fast forward, and I actually started talking to a guy at college. And this was like actually, like, we weren't dating, but we were seeing each other. This is where it gets really, really weird, okay? Things are going well with this guy. He's literally sleeping over. She literally has the audacity to text me one day and go, hey, so I think me, you, and blank should go on a vacation together. Maybe we can share him. She did not mean, like, all of us having a party together, and which I would also not be okay with. She literally, to the T, wrote, I can have him one night, you can have him the other. A guy that I'm actually, like, talking to. Tell me how that makes sense. Tell me how you have the audacity to bring that up. I kind of let that slide because, again, I always took her back after a fight. I don't know why. I think it's because I felt sorry that she didn't really have any other friends, and I've known her for so long, so I'm like, oh, it's just like something that she does. I ended up leaving the college like a few months later. I just wanted to do different things, and thankfully I did because during this time is when I met my now husband. She did not like this. She did not like that A, I had somebody who liked me, and she also didn't like that B, I left the school. She ended up leaving the school shortly after as well, and she kind of refused to ever meet my now husband. She did meet him once. We all went to get bagels, but like anytime he was visiting from England, I'd be like, oh, like, I really want you to see Sam. And she'd be like, no. And I was like, okay, that's kind of strange. Over this time, she was having a few different boyfriends, and she cheated on every single one of them, sometimes with their best friends. So this is when I started pushing away, because I'm like, I don't want to be friends with someone who has no remorse for something like that. We decided to go on a little girls' getaway upstate, and she is at the supermarket with me, and she goes, what should we cook them for dinner tonight? I go, who? Like, we're in the middle of nowhere. Who are we cooking dinner for? Go to part 2. I'm so sorry. Welcome to part 3. This girl has the audacity to say that these 2 guys are coming over. One for me, one for her. I'm dating Sam at the time, okay? I think we were together maybe like 2 years at this point. I'm like, are you actually kidding me? She had these 2 guys come over, and I said to her, if you leave me alone with one of these men, I will never talk to you again. Thankfully, she did not, but I was not happy. I was texting Sam the whole time like, I have to get out of here. Also, side note, the guy that she was like bringing over, she cheated with her other boyfriend with this guy at one point, but she said it was 1 pump, so it didn't count as cheating. Now, the next part is probably the worst thing that she has ever done, and I don't know how I took her back after this. This should have been the last straw. But one of my friends passed away, and the day after she passed away, Olivia was gossiping about it to everybody. She messaged me, and she messaged my other friend, and she was like, hey, did you hear this is how she died? It wasn't even correct. Like, it wasn't even the way that she died, and she was just gossiping about it. So I said, yes, I understand that she passed. She was a close friend of mine, and I'd rather not talk about that. And she goes, oh, sorry, didn't know you guys were best friends. That was her reply to me saying that I was upset. Keep in mind, throughout our entire friendship, she never once was there for me. Like, anytime I needed her, she wasn't there. But every time she needed me, I dropped everything like that. Everyone around me, my friends and family were always like, why are you still friends with her? She treats you like garbage, and I just couldn't see it. But after my friend passed and she was just making it a gossip thing and then not even showing her support or anything, that's when I was like, all right, you're disgusting. Anytime I would call her out on something, she would end up blocking me on legitimately every single platform. I don't know why. It was almost like I did something wrong. So she would block me, and then whenever she decided like, oh, okay, I'm gonna message her now, she would just message me like nothing happened. She would literally message like, hey, how are you? Not an apology, not anything. After the whole friend thing happened, I ended up taking her back again. It sounds like we're in a relationship. I ended up taking her back, and this is when it was like around the time of my wedding. So we were talking about my wedding. I was so excited. I obviously sent her the bridal shower invitation, the wedding invitation. She did not come to either one. My best friend did not come to our wedding. She didn't even send a congratulations card. She didn't even say congratulations. She also did say she was going to come to the bridal shower, and she just didn't come. Her parents are also just as bad because they've known me since I was 5 years old, and they couldn't even say congrats. So I was just like, this whole family is so toxic. And to this day, she has still been messaging me. And guess what, guys? I have not answered. So I'm finally done. Get rid of the toxic people in your life.
You think your teen years are embarrassing? When I was in high school, my mom took my phone in the middle of the night while I was sleeping, unlocked it, and saw that I was texting a bunch of guys in my grade, and then texted each one of them individually saying, this is Julia's mom, you are never allowed to speak to her again, and then took my phone the next morning to the principal and showed her all of the messages with the guys with their first and last names and said that you have to call them down and let them know that they're never allowed to talk to Julia again or they're going to be in big trouble, which the principal did do. And then no guy in my grade or in the entire school would talk to me, so I had to talk to 23-year-olds instead. So, Mom, your plan really didn't work.
My ex ruined his life, and I'm buzzing about it. Story time. So I found out that my ex was having an affair. He told me that he'd found a woman at work and he'd fallen in love with her. He told me that he no longer loved me and that he wanted a divorce. And we had been together since we were in our teens. Bearing in mind, he'd known this woman for 3 months. And we had 3 children together as well. And I desperately fought for our marriage, but he simply just would not stop seeing this woman. This one weekend, he disappeared from Friday afternoon till Sunday night. And that was the final straw, so I was like, see ya, and I threw him out. And he immediately moved in with this other girl. The only excuse he ever gave me was that there was just something about this girl and he deserved to be happy. And that was it. That was the excuse for throwing literally everything away. We ended up finalising the divorce in early 2022. So although I had some very strong feelings towards him, I faked it enough to get some pretty favourable divorce terms from him. Seeing that he was so intent on being with his dream girl super quick that he wasn't really intending on having a long divorce. In the end, I got to keep my house, which was good because I bought this from my grandma. I did have to give him quite a hefty payout though. And throughout all of it, the kids took it really, really hard. My eldest son told him that if he chose this other woman, then he would not have a relationship with his son anymore. But my daughter does have somewhat of a relationship. But their conversations end with my daughter being really upset most of the time. So, about 4 months after the divorce goes through, my ex contacts me. He realised he'd made a horrible mistake and was asking if he could come home. So it turns out that this dream woman was actually a really nasty piece of work and a not very nice person at all. So I used this opportunity to tell him exactly what I thought about him as a person. And whilst I was at it, I thought I might as well throw in what he was like as a father and as a partner. I told him that this is his life now. I told him that he no longer had a home at this house and to never even try contacting me ever again. So a few things have happened since that meant he's tried to contact me again. I'm also aware that this is not the right shade, but we'll sort it out. First of all, I met someone. My sister introduced me to someone who she works with who is also divorced. We got on so well and have been seeing each other since last summer. It's quite nice actually because neither of us want to get married again. And secretly, I think he deserves all the pain he's going through in regards to the kids. He destroyed our whole family without so much of an afterthought. Well, too bad, hon. So sad for you. So, he recently ended up telling my daughter that he'd actually broken it up with his dream girl. I found out that the dream girl had nicked all of his money and that money actually turned out to be mine. You know, the money from the divorce settlement? Yeah. Oh, and she also wrote off his car when she was driving drunk, so that's great. And this is all coming from a woman in her 30s. You know, just to remind everyone, coming from a woman who he knew for 3 months and then proceeded to ruin our whole family for. And I act like I feel pretty sorry for him. Inside, I delight that this is the life that he's made for himself. Call me evil or whatever. He brought all of this on himself. So if you're watching this, enjoy your shite one-bed apartment and your broken down car, hon. Oh, and me and my new partner will think of you when we're on our vacation in Hawaii. I know Hawaii was the place you always wanted to go. Maybe I'll send you a postcard.
I saw a video of a girl asking if you've ever had a friend that just hated you, and I thought this was my time to shine. So I went through a lot of different like friend groups and best friends and stuff throughout my whole life, but I had one friend that I had for 7 years and one friend that I had for 4. And the friend I had for 7 years I started becoming friends with this other girl in high school, and I just introduced the two of them together, so then all 3 of us became a trio. And one weird thing about my school was that we didn't have, like, people weren't just, like, friends with just one other person. Like, there weren't a whole lot of that. It was a lot of big groups. So even though we weren't popular, everybody, like, knew of us because we were that weird group that, like, the weird trio. Like, I'm telling you, even teachers knew not to separate us because we were going to, like, back together. So fast forward to senior prom, we're going to call them Rachel and Ashley. Rachel and Ashley went to Ashley's house and decided that they were going to get ready together, and I got ready at my house. Now, this made sense because Ashley lived pretty far out, and I had a hair appointment in the middle of the day, so it didn't really make sense to drive all the way out there, drive back into town, drive back out there. I just got ready at my house. And if you've seen my prom pictures, you know I did Lady Gaga's Met Gala look for prom. Skipping blush and highlight because I'm doing that in a different video. So I finished my makeup, and I text a picture of it to Rachel. And she's like, oh, you need to take that off. You cannot wear that. That is embarrassing. Like, we do not want to be seen with that. And I'm just like, no, like, I spent 2 hours on it. I did not have time to take it off. I was like, no. And she was like, okay, well, then we're not going to come get you. Now, my parents had my car because one of their cars was in the shop. And I was like, you have to come get me or I can't get there. So begrudgingly, they come to my house and they pick me up. And then we meet all of our parents to go do pictures. Now, when we get there, they take one picture with me. Also, no, the whole drive over, they did not talk to me or acknowledge me. So they take one picture with me, then I get sprayed by a sprinkler and I get soaked. So now I'm crying. They do not care. They have better things to do. And then at this point, the parents are finding this weird because I'm being like completely overlooked, and that's never happened before. At least that they've seen. So all the parents are like, are you okay? What's going on? I'm like, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. So we finish pictures and say farewell to our parents. So then we go to dinner. It's the most awkward thing ever. No one talks to me. So I'm just like, okay, when I get to prom, I'll find other people. At prom, some other girls hang out with us, so it's fine. It doesn't feel too awkward. Then when we get in the car to leave, Ashley looks at Rachel and is like, hey, do you want to spend the night at my house? And Rachel's like, yeah, I'd love to. So Ashley goes, great, we'll drop Allie off and then we will go to my house. And that's exactly what happened.